interview with Ivana Chubbuck. You may not know her, but you definitely know her students. Her coaching clients, such as Charlize Theron, Brad Pitt, and Halle Berry, have won multiple Academy Awards, Emmy Awards, Golden Globes, and Tonys. She is the multi-millionaire coach and founder behind the Ivana Chubbuck Studio. In addition to her personal one-on-one coaching, her LA-based studio has 16 ongoing classes, and she regularly facilitates classes overseas. She's been dubbed the Celebrity Whisperer and has been featured in the New York Times, People, USA Today, Paris Vogue, and many more. She's also the creator of the cutting-edge, widely adopted Chubbuck technique, which is taught by accredited teachers in over 16 countries. Her book explaining the technique, The Power of the Actor, is an international bestseller. Her methods spark change in the participants' lives, not just their work, and have been so effective for so many that now she's begun facilitating corporate workshops in addition to her acting intensives. I was excited to get to interview a member of Hollywood royalty about how to be an effective coach, how to grow a massive coaching business, and achieve success in both business and life.
This is Queen Bee's teacher, you guys. She also wrote this book that's an international bestseller. It's been translated into more than 12 languages, I think. I mean, incredible. And on top of all that, her coaching studio where we're sitting, she's built a multi-million-dollar business, you guys. So I'm so excited to pick your brain. Thanks for letting us come in today.
No problem. I like my brain being picked.
Well, great. Then we're going to have a wonderful time. Okay, so here's what I want to talk to you about first is that you moved, to LA with dreams of becoming an actress, and then you started to realize, you know what, I actually like helping the other actors more than I do acting. I want to maybe any advice you have for someone watching who's trying to decide, should I coach instead of do this myself? What's your advice to them?
I think that what someone taught me once was don't predetermine what it is that you want to do and exactly how it's going to find its way. Is you have to be open to life happening and giving you ideas of how, by presenting sometimes the weirdest things are going to be presented to you, and you find yourself liking it and then following a different path that only you got to by trying to follow the path that you thought that you wanted. But you have to be open to the possibility that what you thought you wanted initially isn't what you're going to end up with ultimately. And it's about being open, always being open to that possibility. The people that are closed off to what it is they think that they absolutely have to have and want are the people that will never succeed, because it's all about containment. If you contain yourself in any shape or form, you're not allowing the world to find its way. So if you contain yourself to a certain aspect of things that you think that you want to do, or that you believe that is the dream, is that you've also contained other things from coming in. So you've contained, this is all I want, but then nothing gets in either. So that you've done was you basically took away the possibility of success.
Yeah, such great advice. Did you feel like any sense of loss or mourning, like, oh, I'm giving up on this acting dream, or not at all? Like you knew?
Because I'm telling you, it was something that someone said, just like be open to life's possibilities. And when I started finding, when I was working as an actor, that when I was coaching people, like actors help each other out. So they helped me, I helped them, but I found that they were giving some of their best performances off of my advice. I found that I enjoyed that more than when the director was saying action and I was the one in front of the camera. So I was waiting for them to be done. I didn't want to be on camera anymore. I was like, enough of that. I think that this script is about this for you. And I get so excited. But let's talk about time. Time's an interesting thing to me. It's like Einstein said, is relative. And it is relative also in a psychological kind of way, either, not just like the science way. And when things are really interesting to you, time goes really fast, but it's the same amount of time, but it feels really fast. So an hour becomes like a minute, and an hour can also feel like 10 hours, depending on your enthusiasm, your passion, and your connection to whatever it is you're doing. And I found that when I was teaching actors, the time went by super fast. And when I was acting, it went so slow. I think that watch was watched more than anything else. It's like, oh, we're still here on the set. And then when I was working with actors, coaching them privately and then ultimately having classes, the time goes by so fast. I do these workshops all over the world, and they're like, 12-hour intensives, 2-day 12-hour intensives. The 12 hours is like really goes by so fast. It's insane.
Wow. That's I love that. That's such a good exercise. So if you guys are curious, ask yourself, when does time fly? That's such good advice. So now you start getting approached by actors because people are like, man, she's really good at telling me how to do this. And more people. How did you go from people are asking me to help them to this is a real business? I'm going to open a shop. I'm going to do this professionally.
Well, I think I give some really good advice when I say, if you're thinking about the money, then you're probably not going to make it. So I thought, okay, someone's coming to me, I want to do the best, I want them to be the best they could possibly be. And when I feed them and I see greatness happens out of them, you know what, that feeds me. So it's symbiotic. So if I'm empowering you to greatness, I'm also empowering myself because I feel that we as a team are connecting from a very effective way. And so then the next thing I know, I'm going, you know what, I don't have to balance my checkbook anymore. It really was that moment. And I'm going, I don't have to think about, I only have enough money for this or that. And then when I was able to take my husband, this is going to be a great story.
Right.
We can't afford a Ferrari. He always wanted a Ferrari. So I said, it was his birthday. And I said, look, yeah, we can't afford a Ferrari. But because I knew that from just not thinking about that we had money, didn't have money, I really did not pay attention until I started to realize that there was a lot of money coming in. And that we went to the Ferrari place, and he said he liked one, and I said, wrap it up.
Wow.
It's yours. And that's when I knew that what my passion was going to give me what I call gravy. It's the gravy. But honestly, I always had if I didn't make money, it didn't matter. Like, I could live small. I was an actor for a long time. I lived very small.
Right.
I lived with a lot of people. And I lived very small. I lived on top ramen,
Yep.
and anything that was cheap. So I skipped meals. I walked to places to save on gas. I mean, I lived very small, and I was fine with that because I was following my passion. And then as time came along and was following something that I love to do so much, money just came as a
byproduct almost of doing what you love.
It's gravy. It's like I like the steak. Or I like the roast, but it tastes good, the roast, but I throw some gravy on it, it tastes even better.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's just the gravy.
Yeah.
And but if I don't have the gravy, that's okay too. Because I love that much what I do, and that's bank. That's commerce. Because you love what you do, you can take that to the bank.
Yeah.
How many people love what they do? How many people have figured out what it is that they want to do? And so that to me is worth more in terms of the metaphor for dollars and cents. So if I have a bunch of gold bars, I have a whole bunch of metaphoric gold bars because I have found something very few people on the planet have found. Something I love to do, something that I'm doing very well doing, and I'm affecting the world at a very, because the base of what I do is about empowering people, not making victim choices, not only in terms of the choices you make as an actor, writer, or director, because I work with all of them, but to also to make that bleed into your real life. It's like you have a choice. You have a choice to make that you could take bad things that happen, say this is something that I'm going to self-destruct with. I'm going to say that that's what's always going to happen. Bad things always happen to me. Be defeated by it and stop doing it because no one wants me to do it anyway. Or I could say, you know what? I'm gonna win in spite of it because people said I couldn't do it, or because there was negative feedback at me, or because there were naysayers in my possibilities of having any kind of success. So I would say I'm going to win in spite of it because of you, and it gave me more forward motion to try even harder. So it's a choice. It's a choice that you can take life, and life will always happen. Good and bad, mostly bad. But it's bad, but it's not bad if you see it as fuel. It's fuel to inspire you to, this anger is a great fuel. It inspires you to do stuff. It's like, I'm not going to let this ever happen again, or that person will never do that to me again. And this is how I'm going to succeed without retribution, without being mean or trying to get comeuppance, but just to prove them wrong without having, just by, what do they say? Success is your best revenge?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, by having success.
Yeah.
And that is what I teach within the character, how you write it, how you direct it. It could be on the page. It's like, it's an interpretation. So I interpret, my technique is based, and that's why I think it's so world famous, because people are taking the idea that you can take insecurities, flaws, fears, pain, trauma, and use it as a very effective fuel to overcome and win with.
Yeah.
Okay, so how could that not bleed into your real life? How could the audiences who are watching these characters do that not bleed into their lives? Therefore, they say, hey, this is the person I always want to see week to week to week in a TV show, because it makes me feel empowered. It makes me feel hopeful. If it's a movie star, it's like, I want to see everything that movie star does, and all of a sudden, a movie star is born.
Yeah.
Let me say at the time, it was not a movie star. Because most of the people I've worked with were nobodies and lived pretty poor, you know, doing horrible jobs, living with too many people who are out of their cars.
Right, right.
And again, the Top Ramen thing.
Yes. I love,
I'm selling Top Ramen right now.
They are not sponsored. Let me get that out there.
And other noodles.
I in researching your work, I really love that, because I think people have the conception, like, to be a great actor, you have to get into your feelings and sit in your feelings. And what you talk about is like, no, we're not sitting in our feelings. We're overcoming. This is about the overcoming and the hope that you inspire and the empowering, which I think is so cool, which is why people use your book as personal development who aren't actors, and even executives. You know, people do executive training and leadership training based on your methods, which is so cool. But I want to go back to the business for a little bit. So, you know, did someone come along to help you, like, well, you should rent some studio space, or you should really get an assistant, or you should get an accountant, or any of those kind of businessy type things that sometimes it's hard for creatives to get their mind around?
Yeah, I think that a lot of creative people want to negate their business side, left brain, right brain kind of thing.
True.
And they want to insist, well, I'm just a creative resource, and just deny their business sense, their left brain.
Yeah.
And I think there's such creativity to business. And when I put my business hat on, I think it's really creative how you kind of put pieces together to make them work. And if it's just like in writing is rewriting, it's like I start off with this concept of how to make the business plan work, and I go, well, this part's working, but this part's not. So off of the part that's working, I'm going to change the part that's not working. And it's a creative process if you choose to look at it that way. You know, so I really enjoy. Hey, it's my business cap. Now I take that out, put my creative cap on. And I like them both, because they both connect the dots together for me. Because there is a creative notion to putting together those pieces. And you know what? There's some kind of the sense of math to everything. And I mean, the earth, math, our how we are as people, our insides, our psyches, and our physicality, there's all math to everything. And so math is definitely, people understand that goes to business, but there's math and creativity.
Yeah, I agree. So for those watching that want to open up a coaching practice, maybe not coaching actors, but coaching others, getting the best out of other people, what's your advice for them for starting and growing their coaching business?
I think that the main problem when people don't succeed at that sort of thing is that they make it about talking from on top of a mountain and saying, you need to do this. Nobody likes to be talked down to. It's a little patronizing. And if you come from a place where I have stuff to work on too. Now I'm going to talk about things, and this is how I coach. I'm going to tell you how screwed up I am. I'm going to tell you, these are my flaws, these are my fears, and I have a great deal of them. Let me tell you, I am one of those screwed up people on the planet. And it's my gold. It's what I can impart. It's like, I can relate to anybody because I have so much.
Wow.
And so the thing is, like, I say, you have this stuff, but I do too. And I'm, in my attempt to help coach you through, to take that same information and use it to benefit yourself, like a character does, then I am also learning from that too. And I think when a life coach stops coaching themselves, when a acting coach stops coaching themselves in terms of like learning, educators should always learn, should always never stop learning. And if you stop learning in your process, and that's every job, your job, every job, if you stop learning, then you stop living. Because living is all about education. Raising the bar, reading the bar, raising the bar, learning more about it. I find all the different cultures of doing workshops around the world. All these cultures are like incredibly different, from Russia to the Asian markets, to Scandinavian, to the UK, to Italy, to South America, and blah blah blah, on and on and on. You know, is that bottom line is they aren't different. Everybody has this human equation. Everybody has same issues with their mates, same issues with their parents, same issues of abandonment, same issues of abuse, same issues of feeling not good enough, not worthwhile. And so if you take, let's go back to your question, you take the said person in front of you, isn't all that in terms of unique, people feel, if they feel like you too have the same issues, all of a sudden they feel more open, not alone, and that's the best feeling of all. And together as a team, we are going to, as a team, I'm going to learn too. And so as a team, both of us are going to grow as a result of this relationship. So there's no talking down to you. There's no yours is worse than mine. No, it's like, it's all, there's no judgment. Never have judgment, that's the other thing. Never judge, because who are you to judge? You know, it's like that, you're giving yourself credential that I don't think anybody should have. You know, it's narcissism. And that doesn't benefit anybody but the narcissist. Because it's by its very nature, it's only going to benefit you. And that's how they want it. But there's got to be some sense of selflessness and some sense of selfishness that I want some of what I'm giving.
Great advice for you coaches out there. Now, you become so successful at this, other people are coaching using your method. And you know, you have teachers here, you're only teaching master classes, right? So you have other people teaching, but it's still your name on the door. Was it hard to start giving over your techniques to other coaches? And what's your advice to people who are licensing their methods like that to others to do it for them, so that you can reach more people?
I think you have to give up control. I think controlling people are annoying, and I think that the idea that I'm giving you, because I have teachers around the world, you know, and schools around the world, and some new ones coming up, which are very exciting.
Oh, congratulations!
China,
that's awesome.
And then a lot of the Asian countries, and I believe we just got approached for Bollywood.
Oh,
wow! So that's gonna be very cool.
Awesome.
School and stuff, but I think that the idea is to not feel that your way is the only way, that this is a foundation for you to grow. Because what I did is I took Stanislavski and I took it like maybe 10 steps further, but the base was Stanislavski. You say, was I true to Stanislavski? Sure, I was absolutely true. But like all things, they need to grow, and they need to evolve. And if I'm giving you a credential to teach, which there's a course that I give, you know, that you have, it is a really intensive course. I mean, like that's all you do for 2 months, and people say it's one of the most inspiring, but one of the most intensive things they've ever done. I want you to go and find your way. I want to give you the information that allows you to create some of your own answers to things.
Wow. So what is your advice, of course, I have to ask, for people out there who want to get into show business?
I think you have to realize it's not about talent, it's not about beauty, it's not about having connections. And it's definitely not about having sex with the right people.
Just go ahead and clarify.
Just to know, that is the truth. So many people come to Hollywood thinking that's the way, and it's not. And all those urban legends about Marilyn Monroe and all that kind of stuff, it didn't happen though. She studied her ass off. You know, it's about, in any field, and this is a very, very difficult one to get into. So you have to work even harder. Work ethic, super important. Brad Pitt and Charlize Theron, while they were in class, they were always like, not only did they want to do the scenes, that I gave them, but they would go to their friends and say, would you do another scene with me? So they're always double working. Also, I say rehearse 6 to 8 hours a week. With Brad, it's a funny story with Brad. It's like he wanted to rehearse so often, like 2 to 3 hours a day, that people would complain he wanted to rehearse too much.
Wow.
Now, so work ethic and taking risks. Now, taking risks of really digging deep and looking at the things that really scare you to look at and then expose them through the work. And then therefore have catharsis. You and the audience will have it because, again, the bottom line of primal realities that we all feel, as well as taking risks in the roles that you pick to do. Don't make it easy. You know, find things that's like, I may fail at this, but then if you can fail, anything you can fail big in, you can also win big in.
Right.
And you got to keep that in mind. And then the third element to, I think, success in everything, including show business, but like anything, is work ethic, taking risks, making bold choices, and not giving a shit about what other people think about it.
That seems like a hard one in this industry. Do you think that the people who have been successful truly were able to let go of what people thought?
Yeah.
Really? So they're not reading tabloids, they're not checking up on what the internet's saying about them?
You know what? I found that the ones that, because I've worked with so many big stars, the ones that maintain a longevity of career don't pay attention to that. They know what it is, and they got to stay out of the way. There's ways to get away, and then those actors that call the paparazzi. They need that kind of. These are the kinds of people that don't have longevity, or they're a joke in the industry, and so they're not respected, and they're not going to ever have that longevity, that icon. And that's part of the thing that you want, because there's so much of our industry that is so like the ups and downs, and a lot of downs. A lot of times when you're going like, I don't think I'm ever going to work again, and it's just so much dependent on other people's thoughts and whether you're the flavor of the month or whatever. It's like, if you don't care what people think, you just keep plugging along and following your passion. Your passion is infectious, and people may have a down time, but you'll get back on top. And I've seen this happen a whole bunch of times. I worked with Sylvester Stallone on Creed. It's like he was not doing so well there for a while, and then all of a sudden he went into this. He didn't care what people thought. He said, "What we're going to do is like really not care about that. Make some really, I mean, we made some choices that were like not very politically correct in terms of how we were dealing with a death sentence." Usually, instead of saying a death sentence is something I'm going to cry over like most actors do, I said, we're going to look at this as, look, I need to die because all the people I love are dead. So I have no problem with dying. So you, Creed, you son of Creed, if you don't pull your shit together and prove to me I'm worth staying alive for, I'm not going to do the chemotherapy. So and so you have to rise to the occasion and make me feel it's worth staying alive for. You got to do that, or else I don't do the chemo. And a large part of that was informed by the performance, the choices, the inner choices that we came up with together.
So you mentioned dry spells for actors. Did you have any dry spells in your business? I mean, you've been doing this over 30 years, so were there any low
35,
points?
I'm gonna really age myself.
Were there low points, and how did you push through them?
Low points, no, it just seemed to be a steady incline. Because it's not, I don't rely so much on studio, bunch of people that aren't necessarily. There are a lot of people, like an actor has to deal with a lot of political realities that have nothing to do with talent, nothing to do with things that they have control over sometimes. Well, I have control. I can make you great, and until I get to some kind of Alzheimer's kind of reality,
well, that's not going to happen. We won't speak that.
The chances are not going to happen. Just because I took one of those tests, you know.
Oh, you did?
What's it called? That testing you can put your DNA in, and it says that I have a 0 possibility I'm going to have Alzheimer's. So unless I pretend I have, and I'm acting it, so so I said, stop bothering me. it's a really important, because it's like, I'm not being egocentric about it. I'm good because the first thing I think of when I look at the script is how is this going to, using this as a backdrop, the script, how is this going to help you personally to evolve and fix the issues that you're going on with your own life? So if you're having issues with you're afraid to leave your husband because he's being abusive, I'm going to take the bottom line of the script and say, how do we use this to empower you as the character, and therefore you, using our inner work of, I got to get away from this man that is abusing me. And so our inner work becomes, that's at the end of the story, that's you leaving that person, and then it gives you the empowerment to be able to do things which you're scared to do in your life. And so the good part of it is helping people evolve, helping people have catharsis, helping people have empowerment and power instead of making victim-y choices or accepting whatever victimization, or we put in quotes, victimization it seems that life is throwing at you. And that's why my book is called The Power of the Actor. I say it's the power that you own, and you can own if you choose to own it. And so I think that the reason why I've never had that kind of decline moment was because it's just so, it feels so good when you know you have the ability and someone that's going to help you hone that ability to make the choices that are going to make you more empowered, less concerned about the bad things that happen as the way it's always going to be, but rather as, what is my life lesson from this? What do I, how do I keep making this happen? Why is this a pattern? How do I change that? How do I change that within the creative art form so it's fun? So it's not therapy.
Yeah.
Because therapy could be a little, but this way it's like, how can I take all this stuff that I have that generally has made me in the past a victim, weak, and use this to grow and be empowered by, is so fun. It creates, like, it actually attaches to your adrenaline.
Yeah.
Like, adrenaline is just like your body's, it's organic speed. This speed feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Great advice from someone who has never really had a low point. I mean, I want you guys to think about that.
No.
In your business.
When I decided to be a coach. When
Yeah.
I was an actor.
Okay. Yep. That's fair.
There was lots of low points.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of them, because I didn't found what I love to do yet.
Right.
Okay. And so, and also, it's like, once I really determined teacher was what I was going to do. I didn't say it happened overnight.
Right.
But it was a slow and steady incline. So it was, I mean, the first part was like maybe 10 years before it got to it. Then all of a sudden, Halle Berry says my name at the Academy Awards, went boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then it's like going like exponentially. The book then became really popular, exponential again. But it was like, Halle Berry said my name at the Academy Awards, boom. Write a book because take advantage of it. That's what I did, though. I took advantage of it.
Yeah, that
I
momentum.
didn't say I'm going to sit with this and go, how many people's names have been mentioned in the Academy Awards before? But I went, okay, now I got to do something with that.
Yes,
But
so
that's
smart.
The business cap put on.
Exactly.
Put the creative hat away. Then it was time to write it. Business hat's off.
Yes.
Creative hat back on.
Right. So good.
I learned a lot from Ivana Chubbuck, but here are my keys to success for the rest of us from my talk with her. Number one, figure out what you enjoy. I love her exercise that she mentioned of when does time speed up for you and when does time slow down for you, because those are great indicators of what you really want to be doing. Two, be willing to sacrifice. She explained that for years she lived small and didn't expect to get paid large fees and have her dream pay all of her bills at first, especially since her clients were surviving on ramen noodles and living out of their cars. But she just kept doing the work. She skipped meals sometimes, she walked to save on gas, and she didn't mind because she was following her passion, which is another key tip here. All in all, it was a slow and steady incline over time to the massive multi-million-dollar coaching business she owns today. Number three, be willing to let go. Her method is now a certified program for other coaches, and she has coaches in schools teaching her technique all over the world. How did she achieve that kind of scale? She said you have to give up control. Guys, to even hire a virtual assistant and start lightening some of your load, you're going to have to give up control. She also mentioned that you have to give up what people think about you. She said that's a key to her most successful students, is that they stop caring what people think. She also advised that you let go of your specific path you have envisioned to success. Remember, initially she thought she was going to be an actress, but she listened to her intuition and stayed open to the possibilities. So remember what she said: if you contain yourself in any way to this one dream or path or how you're going to get there, that means you've also blocked out all the other possibilities. Number 4, capitalize on momentum. She said it had been 10 years, and then all of a sudden Halle Berry said her name at the Academy Awards, and bam, it was a frenzy, and she knew she had to capitalize on it, so that's when she wrote and published her book. So really be thinking, the second you get momentum, which is precious, how can you double down? Number 5, talk with people, not at them. If you are a coach, she said she believed the reason most coaches fail is because they're talking down to people from this mountaintop and they don't want to get vulnerable. So remember that you need to be with your students, not above them. Number 6, embrace your business sense. As an artist who coaches artists, she has heard the whole creative excuse many times, and she says that you're really just denying a part of yourself because you can find that, quote, left side of your brain. And she says you can turn some of the analytical and strategic parts of building your business into a creative process if you choose to look at it that way. So don't limit yourself on your, quote, left brain or right brain, and really just try and focus on making the most of both sides of yourself because you do have it in you. Number 7, never stop learning. If you want to be a millionaire coach, think about how much are you reading every week? How many courses are you taking? How much are you studying? And really, maybe we should ask ourselves, how much are you actually absorbing and implementing and changing, rather than just consuming, which is different, you guys, than actually learning something and implementing it. And lastly, number 8, choose to overcome. I was so inspired when I researched her because all of her work focuses not on the hardships or your feelings, but on the overcoming of those things. And as entrepreneurs, we understand how devastating setbacks can be to the bottom line and to our morale. And she says we have a choice to make, to say to ourselves, I'm going to win in spite of this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to make this fuel to inspire me to keep going to success no matter what.
Now, I'd love to know, what was your favorite lesson from this interview? Leave a comment, and if you want to learn the juicy behind-the-scenes details like what was she like in person, how did I land this interview, bloopers, and more,
go to thepursuit.tv/Ivana Chubbuck.
Thank you so much. This has been incredible. So many insights for both creatives and those building a business, and as she said, they go together, so I love that. I'm Kelsey Humphreys here with Ivana Chubbuck, and this has been The Pursuit.